Like everybody of my age, of a certain age, I remember where I was when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I was in third grade at Roslyn School in what was then called the Protestant School Board of Greater Montreal. That day was no different from any other day, except for the news. But we didn't get the news while I was in class. I thought we did, but I have since learned that, in fact, we learned the news as we were leaving Roslyn School and I was walking home, and it was like being hit by a thunderclap, but I'm not sure why. I didn't know why the news was as momentous as it was, except for me, it changed things. And so for me, that day began what has been a search for JFK, which has extended throughout my life. And while I don't know if I found him, the journey has been the joy of a lifetime. So as a young man in school and in university, I began reading broadly on JFK. I began collecting books. I now have about 1,000 going back to the early 1960s. I, by accident, really ended up at the same secondary school as JFK attended in New England in Connecticut, called the Choate School. It's still there today. At McGill, where I returned, I wrote for the Daily. I maintained an interest in JFK, particularly in American politics. I had a career which took me into the United States. I covered Washington for the Globe and Mail in the 1990s and into the 2000s, the administration of Bill Clinton. And throughout it all, I had this interest about JFK. And I knew there were many, many books written about JFK, and my challenge was to find a way in, to say something about JFK that had not been said before, not to write another biography, not to write another chronicle of the Cuban Missile Crisis, not to write another book on the relationship between JFK and somebody else, but to try and capture JFK at what I call his moment, his crowded hour, in which he delivers two momentous speeches on the two biggest issues of his generation, nuclear arms and civil rights, and to bring readers in and to follow him over 48 hours.